Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets. The topic is, do the Nets have too much firepower to be stopped at this point? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to check out our Dreamerspro Max online sports community. It's a place where you can go and start basketball discussions, NFL discussions, whatever type of discussion on sports that you want to do. Chat live during games. We're doing that pretty much every single night now, it seems. Go live with us after games to take questions and just kind of share our thoughts. Consume original content that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else, and do so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check it out and get 7 days of free access. We have it linked in the description below. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it, especially now when there's a lot more things to say, given the fact that the season is quickly approaching its end. So make sure you check that out. Anyway, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. It's been a while that we've spoken about the Brooklyn Nets. Funny enough, we don't produce as many Brooklyn Nets videos because they never really tend to do well. Most people don't really tend to watch. It seems like there are a lot of Brooklyn Nets fans, but they never see our videos or for whatever reason. So we don't produce as many videos. But if they got more views, we'll probably produce more. But it doesn't make sense to just going through the effort and then producing a video where only a few hundred people see the video. That doesn't really make any sense. But anyway, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. Early this season, they made a trade for James Harden, right? And initially, when they made that trade, I was one of the people, not the few, one of the many, that didn't think that the experiment of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant was going to work out. One of the reasons I thought so was because, number one, I felt like a lot of these guys did too much of the same thing, right? They were very similar players, like a lot of one-way players. That was the one thing. Secondly, I didn't know how they were going to look defensively. I thought they were going to be terrible defensively, given the fact that all of these players I just mentioned, not even one of them has ever made an all-defensive team ever at not even one point. And when they started off, they were, by all accounts, horrendous defensively. I don't even think that's a question. The Brooklyn Nets were terrible defensively. But boy, was I wrong about their offense, because let me tell you something. This Brooklyn Nets team's offense is on another level. The Brooklyn Nets have looked unstoppable without Kevin Durant. Guys, Kevin Durant hasn't played basketball, I think, in over a month. And that's one of the stories that's kind of going under the radar. The fact that KD, I think, has only played about a month and a half worth of basketball this season, given the fact that he's coming off an Achilles injury. So it's not being talked about as much because the team is doing well and we all expect them to come back. Expect him to come back by the time they get closer to the playoffs. But KD's not been playing. Now, he's having a gaudy, a beast mode season, but KD hasn't been playing, which moves me now to the other players that have been playing that have been just completely demolishing the NBA. Let's talk about James Harden and his stats this season. First of all, James Harden is looking like the best point guard in the NBA. There's no two ways to slice it. James Harden is turning into the best point guard in the NBA. Okay, James Harden this season is averaging 25.5 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, and 11.2 assists. And that's enough said. Let's just finish the video there. James Harden is a maestro with the ball. James Harden just had a 40-point triple-double. James Harden now has 100. With the last 40-point game he has 100 40-point games. 100. The only players that have had more 40-point games than James Harden are Kobe Bryant, who has 122, Michael Jordan, who has 173, and Kareem? Is it Kareem or Wilt? I think it's either Kareem or Wilt. I think they've had like 200 plus 40-point games. He's shooting 48% from the field, 47.5% from the field, 37% from the three, 87.5% from the free throw line. And by the way, son is also getting you 1 steal per game. That's James Harden, right? And you're like, man, that's enough. That's all right. We can stop there. But the foolishness, the sorcery does not end there, because now I got to talk about Kyrie. Okay, who has been pegged as the #1 show in the NBA. And if you watch Kyrie Irving play, you're going to be hard-pressed to find another player that looks better playing basketball than Kyrie Irving. The last person I got to think of that looks just as good as playing basketball as Kyrie Irving was Kobe Bryant. And the person before that was Michael Jordan. Kyrie is like Beethoven in sneakers. He has a beautiful game to watch. So let's talk about Kyrie. Kyrie Irving is averaging 27.6 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, and 5.8 assists. Right? But let's talk about his efficiency. Kyrie is having a 50-40, virtually 90 season. Is shooting 52% from the field. Think about this. 52% from the field, 41.5% from the three, 88% from the free throw line, and oh, by the way, getting you 1 steal per game. And the dude that's been injured, KD, who's their best player, last time we saw him, he was averaging 29 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. Oh, and only shooting 54% from the field, 43% from the three, 87% from the free throw line, and also getting you 1.4 blocks per game. That's just all KD was doing, although he's only played 19 games this season. Now, this team, apart from the fact that they have these I don't even know what you want to call these dudes. What are they like? These I don't even know. I don't even know what you can refer to these guys. I mean, like Avengers, man. They got 3 Avengers on their team, right? 3 Avengers basically is what you want to call them. They've also beaten some of the best teams in the NBA. They beat the Lakers, and I believe they would have beat the Lakers with or without AD, because KD didn't even play. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Jazz. They beat the Clippers twice. Okay? The Brooklyn Nets have won 90% of the games they've played right now. They're 9-10 over their last 10 games. They're still the number 1 scoring team in the NBA. And oh, did I mention that they're doing all of this without Kevin freaking Durant? Guys, let's put this into context, because Nick Wright is up there speaking Greek, okay? Let me tell you something. There's no defense for this team. I don't care. The Lakers can be ranked the number 1 plus 5 defensive team in the NBA. Like, if there was number 1, if you could go 5 spots higher, if they were ranked that, they still not seeing this team. Let me tell you why. Guys, the Brooklyn Nets have 3 players that are averaging 25 plus points per game. I cannot remember the last time I saw something like that. That Golden State Warriors team, it was not as talented. Let me tell you something. 25 plus points per game, and at any given night, these 3 players can get you anywhere between 75 and 90 points per game, a game. So basically, all they need is their other players to chip in 20 points. 25. That's all they need. They're already averaging 122 points per game, I believe so. Listen, you can't stop this team. Offensively, there's no answer. Forget about what Nick Wright is saying. There's no defense for this team. I've gone over this in the past. Now, obviously, Milwaukee is coming on. Milwaukee's won 9 out of their last 10. And Philly is still a threat. These 2 teams are still a threat. But listen, there's nothing you can do with this offense. There's nothing in this world that you can do with this offense. The best you can hope for, the very best you can hope for is that one of their guys are off on a consistent basis. First of all, if you're going into a playoff series hoping, you're already in trouble, number 1. But let's just say that the best you get is every single night, one of their big 3 is off. Guess what? Those other 2 can still beat you. They've already beaten the best teams in the NBA with or without KD. There's no beating this team. Like, offensively, you can't see this team. And they're beginning to figure out themselves defensively. Like, they're not going to be the best defensive team in the NBA, but as they say, they're playing situational defense, right? But to me right now, listen, if the NBA playoffs were to start today, and you told me, who do you think is going to win the NBA title? I'm putting my money on the Brooklyn Nets. If everybody was healthy in the NBA, every team was healthy, that was eligible to be in the playoffs, the 16 teams, and you told me, who do you think is going to win the NBA title? Oh, I'm picking the Brooklyn Nets. Because I don't know how the Clippers can beat this team. The Lakers are not going to be able to score with this team. That's the problem. The Lakers are great defensively, but offensively, they can't keep up with this team. They can't. And if your goal is to try to try to defend this team, you're going to have some major problems. You cannot defend. Again, there's no player in basketball that can guard Kevin Durant. There's no player in basketball that can guard James Harden one-on-one. There's no defensive scheme that you can use to stop this team consistently, unless they're not making shots or somehow they're in foul trouble or guys are injured. But if that's your hope, good luck. Brooklyn, in my opinion right now, I think they're probably going to win the NBA title. And probably the only team that I think can upset them, like I'm talking about if we went to the finals, is the Lakers. Because I think something about LeBron and these guys are just going to be able to figure out a way to pull it off. Not to say that LeBron isn't lost, he can lose, because he's lost before, we all know this, but everyone is lost. But that's the only team I really see that if they go to the finals and meet the Nets, I think the Lakers can somehow upset them. I don't know how. Because the Clippers, I don't know about the Clippers. But as far as this team, good luck. Anyway, what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about the Brooklyn Nets? Can they be stopped? Let me just ask, can they be stopped? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.